did you know that the average Canadian household paid 41.4% more in income taxes in 2023 than in 2010?
That is wild.
Here's what Trump had to say, right? He said Somalia is fundamentally not a great place to live.
They're allowed to do what they want in their country, man. They're allowed. If this is normal day-to-day activity for them and it's accepted, do it. I just don't want it here.
After a decade of liberals, in 2015, the average annual family grocery bill was $8,286. In 2026, do you want to take a guess as to what that number actually is?
$10,600.
$17,572.
Income tax increased faster on Canadians than the inflation of food, fuel, housing, just about every line item that a family spends in their personal budget.
Honestly, I don't put blame on the corporations personally. I a little bit disagree with what you said, respectfully. And here's why.
Welcome to the Right Call Podcast, everyone. Episode 101 today. You know, I've been thinking of doing like an intro saying like the Right Call Podcast, voice of reason in chaos, or like, you know, a chaotic world in jeopardy. And anyways, maybe we can come up with something. You know what? As a matter of fact, our Patreon, since we're going to give you a shout out, Celine, Pierre, Tim, Sylvie, and Aaron, come up with a tagline for us. Get involved. You know, you guys can be, you know, get within it. Anyways, as usual, my name's Elliot Daniel, and we have Simmer in the house. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Elliot?
Not bad. You were telling me that the holidays is a very busy time for you.
Yeah. You know, people are buying gifts for each other on Christmas, and I run a business where a lot of the people are buying my products. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah. It's a busy time of the year, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Have you found, and because this is an important thing, right? As the economy slows down normally, discretionary spending is number one that gets cut in family budgets, and gifts, holiday, and whatnot is discretionary spending. Have you found so far for this year a drop in business, not due to your company itself, but just due to the general feeling of the economy?
I wouldn't say that I've seen a drop in business per se, but I have seen a drop in the average transaction value.
Okay, so the average so people cart size is smaller.
Yeah, essentially. So people will still buy a gift, but instead of spending $125, they'll spend $40.
Oof.
You know, I've seen a drop, which is fine because if you make good margins on those $40 products, you're okay.
Fair.
But I have seen a budget shrink, and I think there was a recent stat that came on that actually that Christmas budgets in Canada are. I want to find the actual thing.
But the budgets, because the thing too is, you know, I know families are feeling a crunch. Like we're seeing it in a bunch of fields right now, as a matter of fact, you know, from like restaurants, or Starbucks is closing a bunch of coffee chains around the country. And you know what? Like, I don't blame it. Their coffee are like Starbucks coffee is disgusting. It's horrid for the price. Like, I mean, I'm not going to pay $15 for a subpar latte here. What's up, everyone on TikTok Live, by the way? But
based on your subpar latte, did you hear about the Liberal tax cut only giving the average Canadian $11, which is basically a latte?
You're stealing my lines. You're stealing my. Yeah, definitely. I do have a segment here of Carney's tax cuts. So today, as a matter of fact, we're going to be hitting the CBC. We're finally going to air the CBC's report that has been worked on now for weeks and weeks and weeks. We're going to talk about reimmigration because I love reimmigration. It's becoming more mainstream day to day. People are fed up. They want to claim their country back. A little bit of foreign policy. Canada self-owning themselves. There's nothing I love more than the government owning their own self. It's beautiful. You're going to look at this. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, the Carney tax cut. The tax cut that really doesn't do much for anyone. And that's about it. Maybe a little bit on like the EU picking a fight with Elon. I don't know if you've been following that, but Elon, the EU, they're going head to head right now.
Really?
Oh, it's like David.
I'm excited for you to talk about it.
I don't have much detail. It's just kind of like, you know, I've been following it over the weekend, but it's hilarious to watch, especially just the hypocrisy coming out of the EU. And let's be honest, they're super hypocrites. What about you? What did you prepare today?
Well, now that you mentioned the Christmas presents, I actually found the article, and this article is going to lead into a lot of the topics I want to discuss. So the specific quote that I pulled out here is, people say they're planning a more modest Christmas, whether that involves spending less, giving fewer or more intentional gifts, relying more on charitable services, or scaling it all down. And that's going to lead us into the topics I want to discuss today. I want to talk about the decaying state of Canada. So I have a bunch of statistics that I've been gathering since the last episode that we shot. And I also want to contrast it to how the Liberals have these disgusting spending habits. You know, we were told that Mark Carney is going to be this fiscally responsible economist that's going to,
supposedly.
Yeah, right. And it's coming out. Some of these numbers are coming out that show that he's far worse than even Justin Trudeau.
Oof.
And you know how Justin Trudeau loved to swipe the country's credit card. Mark Carney seems to be doubling down on that strategy.
Nice. I wonder with Justin Trudeau and Katy Perry, who's doing the swiping of the card?
Definitely Justin. Katie's the breadwinner.
I wonder who's doing the bending over as well, though.
Anyways.
Did you see, was it Diplo? Was it Diplo? He was on a podcast. There was a guy on a podcast. It's like some artist, some pretty famous artist. I don't remember exactly which one, but they were talking about Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I dated him." Like a guy said he dated Trudeau, and he seemed very serious. I don't think it was sarcastic, but anyways, I digress.
Not surprised if that's the case. But anyways, I wanted to talk about the Carney Liberals' spending habits, and then get into some housing, healthcare, food statistics that have been coming out, which, we cover a lot of these statistics week by week, after week, but I'm noticing that things are just getting worse and worse and worse slowly. So I do want to bring a lot of these things to your attention, to you as the viewer.
To me, I'm the only viewer. This is we're talking about. We're in my bedroom right now. No, you didn't know. This is very intimate.
I also want to talk about some lunacy regarding the LGBTQ issue in Canada.
This is how we get demonetized. Jokes.
Well,
no. Honestly, we're going to talk about it. We're going
to talk about serious issues, and I'm not trying to poke fun at anybody. I'm just trying to address the fact that, we have some civil liberty issues popping up in our Western democracies.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of it is related to insignificant non-crimes, like things that are being labeled as crimes that are not objectively crimes. And
like paper crimes. Is that what we're talking about?
No, not paper crimes. Like I posted something on the internet and now I'm going to jail for a few months.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So we have a lot of this coming up. We have not just the UK, we have some stuff in Canada that is, honestly, it makes me want to leave this country. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
Then moving forward, I want to talk a little bit. I want to go down south. We talk a lot about Canada, but I want to go down to our friends in the South. I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump, Ilhan Omar, the issue with I want to talk a little bit about what Donald Trump said about, Somalians, what he said about Ilhan Omar.
Apparently it's Somali. I was just owned on a thread conversation because I called them Somalians, and apparently it's Somalis.
Okay,
so you got to be careful here. You don't want to offend the wrong people.
I actually really made a highlight reel of videos that I want to show people things that I don't even have anything to say about it. I just want people to watch the video and make their own opinion.
All right.
And then I want to talk a little bit about radicalization and politics.
Cool. So let's get into it.
Okay.
What do we start with? It's just so much.
Let's start with the
punchy shit.
Let's start with the decaying state of Canada.
All right.
So Mark Carney ran on this campaign that he would A, spend less, B, get a deal signed with the United States, and focus on our economy.
Well, that's been a fucking three-strike. Or we could call it a hat-trick failure.
Yeah, hat-trick.
It's a hat-trick failure.
You know what makes me laugh? I actually thought of a joke. The Habs beat the Leafs this weekend.
Okay.
Right? And this is I think the second time in the season that the Habs beat the Leafs. And I wanted to draw a parallel between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Liberal Party of Canada.
I'm waiting for the punchline. Well, they're both failures, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first parallel we can draw. That's, no matter how much money you throw at that team or this government, they're still an utter abject failure. I mean, you can pay Austin Matthews as much as you pay Connor McDavid because their contracts are essentially similar, but doesn't mean that you get the same quality of player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can pay Mitch Marner the same you paid Sidney Crosby. Doesn't mean you're getting a Sidney Crosby. And that's what the Liberals have essentially pulled a fast one over on Canadians, that they say, oh, we're spending all this money. We spent this money on healthcare. Invested in all these programs, spent insane amounts of money.
Invested.
And what are the results? Abject failure. They lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Fair enough. I don't even follow hockey, dude. I'm the worst Canadian ever. I played hockey for 15 years, made a couple dollars on hockey.
You're French Canadian, bro.
Yeah, I know. I eat poutine and I drink beer and I'm a social chômage. I'm on the BS. That's what I do. I'm on fucking welfare.
I think you should watch more hockey.
You know what? Last I checked, they sang the fucking anthem in Punjabi.
Yes, sir. I'm more Canadian than you, Elliot.
Apparently so. Apparently so. Speaking of the anthem, real quick, you know how they changed the lyrics of the anthem?
I heard about that. Why don't you tell me a little bit about
Well, I mean, we're not going to dive too deep into it, but like overall, it used to be in all thy sons command, right? True patriarch in all thy sons command. That was like the title. And of course, Trudeau, with his alphabet soup, decided that was it was not feminist enough. It was too divisive. So I don't even know how they changed it. I think they changed it to in all of us command. But they took away the thy sons command because that is, well, the patriarchy. Yeah, I know. Rolled my eyes at it as well. It's fucking like the level of stupidity. It's like, okay, we got bigger fish to fry first of all, and it's like it's our national heritage. And by the way, in all thy sons command, let's be honest, who's doing the war fighting anyways?
We'll see, man. But anyways,
yeah.
So we were told that that Mark Carney was this brilliant economist, right?
Yeah.
That was going to get a trade deal with the Americans, spend less, focus on our economy, and also deliver the biggest housing construction platform.
Housing starts.
Yes, the biggest house. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The biggest housing starts since the Second World War, right? That was the exact quote. And turns out the Liberals pulled a fast one over on you. Okay, so let's talk about the Liberal tax cut. And I know you wanted to talk a little bit about it, but
well, man, I did prepare an entire segment about it, but go right ahead.
Well, you know what? Why
okay.
don't we talk about the tax cut and then go into all the other statistics, because the tax cut is relevant. It shows the intention of the party.
Sure.
And then all the spending also shows the intention on the other side. So why don't you start with the tax cut?
The tax cut, by
and
all
then we'll
means.
go right into the other stuff.
Well, I love Juno News. I got to start with saying that. Juno News is the bomb. Okay, these guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. And they're starting to catch some flack because apparently they're not woke enough, which in Canada, it's like a badge of honor. If you're not woke enough, you get the badge of honor of being called all kinds of things. Love it. So they came up with the tagline, Liberal tax cut gives poorest Canadians just $11 annually. So then you got to like dive a little bit into it and whatnot. But in short, Prime Minister Mark Carney's campaign promised to implement a tax cut to deliver real change, and that it will amount to working Canadians having the lowest tax bill ever. That was the entire thing, right? Well, it turns out that the lowest tax bracket is going to be saving about $11 annually, according to an economist named, don't know his name, but he's from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternative. This is despite $6 billion in costs attached to that tax cut, right? So we're slashing our revenues by $6 billion in order to give that money, apparently, in a tax cut. Personally, again, it says that Canada's poor will benefit the least from any of these tax brackets. So again, we keep hearing that conservatives are always the ones that are like, trying to save their billionaire buddies' butts and whatnot. But like, it's not quite. By the way, complete side note, but most incredibly wealthy individual in Canada are Liberals. You name it. From the Power Corp and the Desmarais family, which are super huge Liberal supporters, to just about any big corporation. They love Liberal policy. And you know what? I've actually spoken to an incredibly wealthy individual who said the following, and this blew my mind open. He said this. He's like, look, listen, money for us can buy anything. But you're telling me that in politics, I'm equal to someone like a teacher or like a factory worker? Like my one vote is equal to his one vote? No fucking way. So like they tend to love to support parties that are more autocratic, more authoritarian, who will bend the rules in order to benefit them. But going back to the tax cut. So in short, a tax cut reduces the rate on the first $57,375 of individuals' taxable earnings from 15% down to a whopping 14%. Wow, 1% saving on that tax bracket. It was claimed by Carney that it would benefit two-income families by up to $825. I remember him saying this on TV.
Yep.
It was like sold to us as such, right?
100%.
Well, it turns out that the Prime Minister's claim was indeed misleading. What else is new? The $6 billion price tag for the bottom bracket change is what it would have cost, by the way, to increase the Canada Disability Benefit to up to $7,000 a year, and this would have lifted over 200,000 people with disability out of poverty. Instead, he passed a tax cut that does nothing. And here's why it does nothing, right? Because, okay, $11. Why? Why does it do nothing? Why are the poorest Canadians actually not benefiting from this 1% tax cut? Well, it's because the lowest income tax filer already have enough credits to reduce their taxable income to zero, right? Like, I mean, fuck, I don't even know. I don't even know them because I'm not like eligible for them. But like, I know there's a lot of tax credits in Canada that can reduce your effectively your tax rate. So with regards to this, you can change the tax rate for that bracket, but it won't matter as these individuals already don't pay any income tax at all whatsoever. Now, if it was like what's called like in corporate, it's called like a refundable tax credit, right? So there's non-refundable tax credit and refundable tax credits. It would make a difference. Like there's some refundable tax credit when you apply for it and it's not taken off of your tax owed, rather it's money given to you directly. So in this instance, since they don't get taxed, if this 1% saving would have been given back as cash, it would have actually helped the Canadians, right? But it doesn't do shit for them. So all in all, it was once again a giant pulling of the covers over the eyes of the Canadian. It's all branding. That's the thing with liberals. Branding, words, never any actions. So that was the Liberal tax cut in a nutshell.
Well, let's take a look at how Canadians are paying taxes. And I just want to add a quick note before I get into it. The tax cuts we need are not for the like you said, the lower income income earners.
Mm-hmm.
The tax cuts we need are for the middle class. Mm-hmm. It's a drastic middle class tax cut that we need. People earning anywhere between $35,000 to $70,000, $80,000 a year. These are the people struggling the most in this country.
Absolutely.
And so the tax cut shows that Mr. Economist could not have even deducted that in his brilliance. You know, Mark Carney could not even assess that. Something that I can just say as a general statement because I understand these issues and Mark Carney also understands these issues.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that he was disingenuous to the Canadian population.
Disingenuous, yes. I don't think he was incompetent. I don't think he ever set out, by the way, to help the average Canadian. I don't think that was his intentions at all.
But I'm going to call him incompetent because he didn't deliver on his promises, fundamentally saying you're incompetent.
Well, he's incompetent in the role to be the Prime Minister for Canadians and for the welfare and the benefit of Canadians, for sure. Absolutely incompetent with that. I think he's incredibly competent when it comes to benefiting his own personal interests and the interests of his friends.
And Brookfield.
Which is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. So we're talking about taxes. Did you know that the average Canadian household paid 41.4% more in income taxes in 2023 than in 2010?
That is wild.
41.4% more. That is insane. And average income taxes per household, it went from 20,000 to right up to around 24,000. I can send you a picture of this graph,
mm-hmm.
but it's astounding. It just shows that the Liberals. Oh no, actually, no, it's not 20,000 to 25,000. I was looking since 2020. Since 2010, it went from under $18,000, right around $16,000 to $17,000, all the way up to $24,000. The average household pays in income taxes. That is egregious. That is an insane rate of increase.
Well, I know that it came out, and I think it was a report by the Fraser Institute, that income tax increased faster on Canadians than the inflation of food, fuel, housing, clothing, just about every line item that a family spends in their personal budget, which we know has increased over time, but taxes increased the fastest out of all of them, which is kind of fucked up, right? Because we love to say it's government, like, okay, with food, and they do this all the time. They're saying, well, foodflation, it's the greed of these corporations. And mind you, no, there's a part of it that it is. It is. The price of food has increased more than the inflation, okay? And that's accounting for all the fucking like carbon tax and whatnot. There is an element of companies, I'm not putting all the blame on them, but there's an element of companies seizing the opportunity of like, oh, people think it's inflation, so let's increase our profit margins. That's the thing. Their profit margins are increasing. That's not okay. However, why aren't people holding the government accountable to the exact same standard? The cost of running the government has skyrocketed for poor service quality, may I add, right? So you're spending more. It's like going to the grocery. We complain about shrinkflation all the time. It's like going to a grocery, you want to buy a bag of chips, and the bag of chips is 50% more expensive from a few years ago, but half of it is missing. It's just air, like you said. So you're being screwed both ways. That's what's happening with the government.
Well, yeah. Honestly, I don't put blame on the corporations personally. You know, I a little bit disagree with what you said, respectfully. And here's why. When corporations have increased costs, they have to bring up their margin because they have higher, more obligations to pay. The risk goes up. And if the risk goes up, the reward must go up as well. That's just a basic economic principle.
But what? No. But okay, let's touch on this. This is interesting. This is our first like debate here.
Sure.
Costs do get passed on to consumers. Absolutely. Yeah. That I agree with you. But why is it more risky all of a sudden? The consumer base didn't change. The market didn't change.
Well, surviving in the new business environment becomes riskier. It becomes far more difficult for a company that has to deal with severe inflation to essentially streamline their finances. Because
so they just what? Well, that's not necessarily true. It's the more competitive an industry is doesn't necessarily mean that profit margins have to go up. As a matter of fact, if it becomes competitive, profit margin goes down. The problem in Canada, the biggest issue in Canada is that we live in makeshift oligopolies in just about every industry.
Yeah.
Where companies collude together to set prices. Like take real estate, okay? Yeah. And this is wild. In Quebec, we're a little bit different. Most real estate or landlords in Quebec are mom and pops, okay? But the rest of Canada ain't so. And the rest of Canada is mostly owned by a few big, massive landlords. And they all so it would be illegal for the landlords to meet together in an office and to collude over price rent, right? That would be completely illegal. What they do, however, is they all use the exact same software that uses AI and data to suggest rent increase. But the thing is that by talking to the software directly and the software talking to all the other major landlords as well, the price gets fixed for all of them. It is absolute collusion the same way. Sure. It's just done through an intermediary, right? So, I mean, this happens with food, by the way. Same thing. AI is behind food prices, behind energy prices, behind so many industries in Canada. I'm sure telecoms do the same thing. Guaranteed.
No, for sure. I get what you're saying. I get the oligopolistic price fixing that probably goes on. What I'm trying to say is that grocery chains already operate on micro margins. We're talking about 3 to 8% max. If a grocery chain earns 8%, you're like, holy, that's a great return for a grocery chain. Yeah. I don't have the financials on me in front of me right now, but whenever people made this argument that it's greedy corporation, Jagmeet Singh was saying this endlessly, like, oh my God, record profits. They make like 3 to 5% net top line, bottom line income. So every $100 that they earn, only $3 to $5 go to the shareholder. For sure. We're talking about an industry that creates a ton of employment, feeds our whole country. I don't feel so like I don't blame the corporations as much as I blame poor fiscal policy.
I blame both because the corporation, let's say, like you said, 5 to 8% profit margin, right?
3 to 8% max.
Okay. Yeah. Let's say 8 max. And all of a sudden, a year later, through the inflation crisis, the profit margin increased from 5 to 10%, right? Well, they've increased their profit margins. Yeah. So being double shafted, you have the actual inflation hitting the consumer, and then you have that increased profit margin on top of it, scalping you. Yeah. And especially with food is insidious because the thing is this, you have to eat.
Yeah.
Like you can't just like cut your food.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why like when it comes to food, there's no risk with that. It's
Yeah.
one of the like most lucrative industry because everyone's a consumer and
Yeah.
everyone's a repeat consumer. You know,
but 3 to 8% net is a micro margin objectively.
it's very, very low. But again, you have an industry that's cornered. Now, mind you, what I'm saying is ultimately it's definitely a dual problem. The government has huge responsibility to bear for the piss poor economic policies, the inflation, the monetary policy, and the lack of competitiveness in Canada. Absolutely. And like we rail on the government. I'm right there behind you. But there are massive corporations that have also opportunistically utilized the cover of inflation and piss poor government policy because they keep blaming them and to increase their profit margins, which look, that's an issue as well. Yeah, and they're allowed to do it, by the way. I'm not against a corporation increasing their profit margins.
Yeah.
It's the disingenuity, if that's a word, disingenuous of them saying it's the government's fault. And then the government does the same thing. They say it's the corporation's fault. Yeah. Guys, you're both to fucking blame.
Yeah. Well, dude, if you think about the cost of food, how much it's gone up since the COVID era, right? We talked about this last week, actually, where it was like in those 5 years, the prices went up 40, 50, 60%.
Yeah. Like beef and stuff. Insane.
Right. But the margins did not increase that drastically. If you're talking about, we made 4% nets before, and now we're making 6%. Yeah, that's a 50% increase in profitability. Sure, if you look at it from that perspective, but it's still a micro margin. It's still an extremely risky business in a way that, like the overhead in these businesses are insane, right?
Yeah, but still, like that 50% increase is huge because, like you said, it's a 2% increase in net margins, let's say, but that is indeed a 50% increase.
Yeah,
that's a huge increase for Canadians to bear. Huge at a moment that they can't, and especially with food, it's insidious. There's a bunch of other industries that they're starting to get hit because they've actually seen their numbers. Like, they got a little greedy. You know what I mean? They try to pull a fast one and eventually it corrects itself because it just, like, people eventually cut down on the spending. Food is one of those which I have such an issue with.
Yeah. No, fair. I don't completely disagree with you. I get where you're coming from. But anyways,
that was an interesting parenthesis.
Let's move on.
Yes.
So yes, the average Canadian household paid 41.4% more in income taxes in 2023 than in 2020. Now, like I said earlier, we were told that Mark Carney was this extremely responsible, fiscal genius, brilliant economist, going to resolve all the issues. Let's take a look at how his spending habits have been as of late. Carney's housing minister, Gregor Robertson, spends $97,000 to send his executives to a 2-day conference for inspiration on homelessness. This includes $33,600 on hotels and $8,857 on meals.
I need to start working for the government.
On a 2-day conference. Fiscal responsibility, Mr. Carney. Let's take a look at, he went on this is for inspiration on homelessness, right? This is what the conference is about. Did you know that Canada is in the top 20, is actually number 8 in the world for the largest homeless population?
I had no idea.
And Mr. Economist is sending people on a 2-day trip for $97,000. That's like double what the average Canadian earns in a year.
You could definitely at least have reduced a couple of homeless people out of homelessness with that.
Mark Carney outspent Justin Trudeau on 2025 cabinet retreat, as per documents. Okay?
Oh, man. Well, I know why. It's obvious. It's because, what was the name of the guy there, the super wealthy billionaire that gifted him like helicopter rides to his private island in the Caribbean? Like, Aga Khan or something like that? Aga Khan. Yeah. Well, that's why. It's because Carney's not getting invites from Aga Khan, It's more expensive because he's got to pay. He doesn't get it for free.
September's cabinet planning forum at Pan Pacific Toronto cost $532,000.
Nice.
It's insane.
It is.
Let's keep going. The government budgeted between $4 to $8 million for a skating rink on the Governor General's estate. That's what the Liberal Party is doing with your money. While millions of Canadians are lining up at food banks, 700,000 children, 80% of Canadians think they're never going to own a home in their life. Inflation on the rise. Federal debt uncontrollable. And this is what Mark Carney thinks we should be spending our money on. This is Mark Carney's spending cuts. They're actually spending hikes.
The only thing I can say is I support the ice rink more than... It's already a better investment in my eyes than, say, I don't know, some new prayer room in some fucking high school or something, because at least like skating rink is Canadian. Hey, it's Canadian heritage.
Yeah, well,
I'll take it.
You use the word investment.
Ah, well,
right?
Yeah.
How many returns is that ice rink going to generate on the Governor General's estate?
You have to just imagine it, okay?
Yeah.
You just have to imagine it. It's going to balance
it's a vibe.
itself.
It's just a vibe, you know?
We are in a vibe session after all.
And this is despite Canadian families are being expected to pay $1,000 more for groceries in 2026. We're talking about a government that really just doesn't care about your wallet. If you talk about these these minor spends, you know, $4 to $8 million on a skating rink, oh my God. Annual family grocery bill since 2015 to 2026. After a decade of Liberals, in 2015, the average annual family grocery bill was $8,286. In 2026, do you want to take a guess, Elliot, as to what that number actually is? I'll give you $10 if you get it right.
It was 8,000?
Yeah.
Like, okay, do I need to
82.86.
Do I need to get it to the dollar?
No, just ballpark.
Okay, so
Close
it was
enough.
82.86,
The price
right?
is right, baby.
So I can't be over. I need to be under, close. Okay. 82.86 in... That was last year?
Yeah.
And compared to this year, what they forecast?
Yeah.
It's going to be $10,600.
$17,572. This is what
How?
the Liberals have done to your wallet.
No, but how? How can it more than double?
Well, it's
In a
since
year.
2015. Since 2015, not 2025.
I
I'm
said
sorry.
since last year.
No, I said 2015. I'm sorry.
No, but I'd asked him like since last year, right? And you're like, yeah, since last year.
Oh no.
Let's bring the clip back. It's all recorded, motherfucker.
Okay, no,
Guys, what
since
did he say?
2015. I said 2015.
Yeah,
I
at the
didn't say
start you did. At the
2025,
start
yeah.
you did. You're right.
Yeah.
And then after I was like, okay, it was $8,000 something last year. You're like, yes, that's the thing. It was based on.
Oh no, I missed the last year part, I guess. Okay,
whatever.
all right.
But still, that's insane.
Yeah. On a weekly basis,
Mhm.
that is from $159 to $338, more than double.
But wait, 17 grand.
Yeah.
For family of 4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It does. Okay, that makes sense.
18 grand just to survive. It's wild.
Yeah,
Wild.
Because I was trying to see like how much do I spend a week, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then multiply it by 4. It's not exactly 4 because kids, like more or less depending on their age and shit, you know, like a teen will eat like a motherfucker, but like a baby doesn't. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like
As a result, food banks are breaking under the weight of rising poverty in Ontario. Record high demand is outpacing resources available. Around 1 million Ontarians used a food bank this year, the highest number ever recorded. 1 in 3 were children, 1 in 3 have disabilities, and 1 in 4 were employed but can't earn enough.
Yeah.
That's the state of Canada and the food that Canadians need to survive. It's egregious. And
Well, we're gonna end up like Minnesota. We're just gonna have to hunt geese and ducks off the street, like they do. Cats and dogs aren't safe anymore.
I mean, we're just
hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your fucking kitty cat.
We're just talking about food right now. We're not talking about housing. We're not talking about energy costs. We're just talking about food right now. Let's keep moving. Canada's healthcare costs are projected to hit nearly $400 billion in 2025.
Mm-hmm. But it's free.
But it's
Simmer, it's free. What are you talking about? Healthcare's free.
But in 2025, between 6.5 and 8.5 million Canadians, so roughly what? A quarter of the population, a fifth to a quarter of the population, have no family doctor or primary care provider. That's up dramatically from a decade ago, and it's rising every single year. On top of that,
to that though, people would say it's not the federal government's fault when it comes to that though, because healthcare is a provincial jurisdiction.
Responsibility. Yeah, but
But
immigration
it is.
is a federal responsibility, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you're reckless with immigration, you flood the system, and you're not proper, and the provinces are not properly addressing the healthcare issues.
That's a good point.
And the federal government is not taking Pierre Poilievre's advice to let our 30,000 international healthcare workers try to get a streamlined approach to becoming healthcare practitioners in Canada.
Yeah.
When you have this level of incompetence at the federal level and the provincial level, these are the results.
Is it a federal, I guess, jurisdiction or right or prerogative to do so? Because, like, for example, to practice medicine in Quebec, you need to be licensed by Le Collège des Médecins du Québec, right?
Yeah.
So they're the ones who are giving you the right effectively to practice. So that's why I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, is it a law that comes from the federal that trickles down? Like, do you have an idea regarding that?
I know that in the past we've used like blue. I don't know if it's red seal or blue seal. Pierre Poilievre has spoken about
well,
it.
in the trades, it's called a red seal.
Yeah, a red seal. Yeah, exactly. And so there was a red seal process where you could examine your immigrants. You can set an examination standards.
It made me laugh. Just examine your immigrants. I'm thinking of Peter Griffin. You know that in Family Park. Oh my God, Family Guy. When he has like the color scheme of skin. Have you ever seen that? It's a meme.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
You could post it.
Yeah.
But I forget what I was trying to say for a sec.
Regarding the red seal.
Yes.
And the examining immigrants.
Yes. So in the trades, it already exists. Pierre Poilievre was suggesting to do this in healthcare. Healthcare is an emergency in Canada right now. If you look at the wait times, and the headlines we're talking about just last week, the wait times are inhumane.
Oh no, I concur fully with your assessment of the healthcare system. It was about like, can it be like, does a prime minister have the ability? That's what I was curious
just
about.
to push out the initiative, work with the provinces to streamline a process. It's not that complex.
Shouldn't be.
You can use, you can get a bunch of doctors. You can use AI to, quickly come up with an examination standards to, make it a little quicker because Canadians are dying every day because they're not receiving healthcare. Last year we had more people die from not receiving surgery than ever died in COVID in any year. That is egregious given that we are spending $400 billion on freaking healthcare. It's egregious that Canadians cannot get a quality healthcare service. And more than half of Ontario doctors are eyeing retirement in the next 5 years. Did you hear about this?
No, but I mean, they're boomers, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing on the voting side of things. Little by little, it's horrible, obviously, for replacement. There's many industries that way, though. There's a lot of, at least in entrepreneurship, and especially you're a businessman, there's a lot of companies that are going to be forced to close, which really is going to hamper and hit Canada's economy even harder, because the driver of Canada's economy is small to medium enterprises, so that's 250 employees or less. And there's just no relève. There's no one to take over. Our generation is not entrepreneurial. There's nobody that wants to get like nitty gritty. A lot of businesses they're not shiny. It's like we all want the shiny. I want to be a tech bro. I want to be a finance bro. I want to do like all the cool shit. But like nobody wants to run a janitorial company. But guess what? There's plenty of money to be made in this. Nobody wants to run a machine shop. But guess what? There's plenty of money made in this. And these are going to close down.
It's not just that. It's also that you're not incentivized to start business in this country.
But this is about like taking them over. But you're right. Of course, like businesses are always penalized in the country. It's a horrible thing. But I don't know if I think to start a business that definitely hits Canadians, like the entrepreneurial rate, but the taking over existing businesses, I think that has to do a lot with just the culture and the people, because like even family businesses, the kids are not getting involved with it. Which sucks. It's a horrible thing. It's a great opportunity if you're looking to buy a business, but it's a horrible opportunity for Canada because as time goes by, all these companies are closing, and so will the jobs that are, being brought forth by these businesses, and the economy will tank.
1.27 million Canadians left emergency room without treatment. worst year on record.
We spoke about that last week.
This is a new report. We said 500,000 Canadians left because it was taking too long, but a total of 1.27 million Canadians left without any treatment at all. Not just because it was taking too long, but they just left without any treatment.
Okay.
So this is a stat that came out from the Canadian Institute of Health Information. So take it as you will. The industrial implosion in Canada, right? Because we need a strong economy if we're going to bring down the cost of things. The industrial implosion. Since the Liberals formed government, investment in industrial machinery and equipment has tanked. Has tanked by pretty much more than half from its peak. That's the state of Canada right now. That people are not seeing any reason to invest in industrial machinery and equipment. And Canada, you have to remember that Canada is a natural resources sector-based economy. Like, we rely on our natural resources. So we need machinery and we need equipment. So when you see the investment in those things tanking, it tells you what are the business prospects of the future of this country. Not very pretty. 42,000 steel and lumber workers across Canada have lost their jobs over the past 5 years. And some people will contrast that and say, hey, but Canada gained 54,000 new jobs in November. That recent statistic that came out. But I think you covered it last week. It was mostly part-time, temporary jobs, and a lot of it was public sector and not private sector. So mortgage payments, we talked about food. We talked about housing. Let's talk we talked about food and we talked about the economy, right? And healthcare. Let's talk about mortgage payments. Mortgage payments for a typical home now exceed 50% of median after-tax income in over 60% of major Canadian cities, as per the Fraser Institute.
It's
like, let's just tie all these things we're talking about together and see the picture it's painting overall.
Not a pretty one.
And so this is horrible. There's no other way to say it. I'm looking for words, but there's no other words to say that this is just a horrible state of affairs in this country. Taxpayers, and Mark Carney was talking about, the biggest housing start growth since the Second World War. Mark Carney actually spent $32,707 so he can pretend to be a home builder for the cameras. Okay, they faked a construction site. Okay, the feds admit that they faked a construction site as a backdrop for Mark Carney's promise of faster, smarter home construction. The government paid $32,707 to have contractors install and then disassemble temporary structure for TV cameras.
Yeah, I know.
This is what Mr. Economist thinks is a smart way to spend Canadian taxpayer dollars. It's absolutely pathetic.
It's funny. Look, it's to me, it's funny.
And
I find it funny.
Not to mention that we're pledging another $235 million in funding for Ukraine because, we don't have enough problems here at home. We need to make sure that we're taking care of everybody else's problems while, Canadians are lining up at food banks and struggling the worst they've struggled in the last probably 30 to 40 years, man.
Yeah, no, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago as well. We were talking about how much money is being sent overseas, like the overseas payments of Canada, and it's billions to Ukraine, millions here, millions there, and oftentimes we spoke about this as well, like just some stupid programs like the fucking gender neutral carbon capture green rice in Vietnam kind of thing there, all the nice big words, but overall it's always been my question, and this is the one thing I'll never understand. And of course, people in government say, yeah, but it's about national security, it's about national interests. A lot of supporters of it say, it's about sowing some seeds, it's about tying or creating economic ties with these countries, but it doesn't seem to ever really yield real benefits. And perhaps it does. Maybe it's like a nice to have. It's like a car. A car is a nice thing to have, but if you can't feed yourself, you're probably not going to have a car. You're going to focus on feeding yourself first. There's like a hierarchy of needs. We all know the hierarchy of needs, right? Well, Canada right now, I'd say, like, let's deal with our domestic issues and make sure that we have our own little, our bed is made, our room is cleaned, right? To take the words of Peterson. Let's take care of that first. And once that's done, then we can set our sight on all the nice to haves. And there is influence to be created overseas. There are people to help overseas. There's a world to fix. I'm all for being that. But it's kind of hard to claim that you are holier than thou and you are helping the world when you can't even help your own self first. And that's my issue. Canadians should come first, period. Canada should come first. Maybe that's going to make me a far-right extremist for saying such a thing nowadays. Apparently that is fucking extreme. But Canada should come first. Then, after Canada should come first, it's Canadians should come first. Mm-hmm. That is above and beyond. And this is a big objection that we had during the Saudi Arabia versus Canada video. I was comparing Saudi Arabia, its income, its debt, and what they give to citizens versus Canada. And everyone was saying, yeah, but Saudi Arabia has all these immigrants that they use and abuse. They're like slave labor, basically. And meanwhile, Canada doesn't. And I said, you know what? Here's the reality. It's true. Canada and Saudi Arabia takes two different approach. In Saudi Arabia, immigrants come for the benefit of the country. It's a privilege to be in Saudi Arabia, according to them. Now, mind you, these immigrants are not forced to come. They're not actually slaves that were purchased at a market on some African coast, by the way, sold by their own people. They willingly went there because the conditions in Saudi Arabia are still better, sometimes considerably better than their home country. So they went. But they do bring more value to the citizens than they get. Citizens benefit from it. In Canada, we take a different approach. Citizens contribute more to the immigrants than the immigrants bring to the system. Somewhere, someone is being taken advantage of a little bit. In Saudi Arabia, the immigrants are being taken advantage of a little bit, although they still get a better quality of life than they would have back home. In Canada, it's the opposite. The Canadians are being taken advantage of at the expense of the immigrants. But here's the difference. The immigrants still get a better life in Canada than they would back home. But the average Canadian's quality of life actually goes down. It doesn't improve Canada long term. We see it. We see it every day. The quality of life is not being improved. Quite the opposite. Because economically, there's an aspect to be made. We talk about it all the time. But if the quality, if bring, all these immigrants from certain countries helped Canada, we wouldn't have an increasing crime rate. We wouldn't have phenomenons that were inexistent in Canada prior happen today, such as home invasions. These were seldom happening in Canada 50, 40, 30, hell, even 20 years ago, and now are common practice. What has changed since? The demographic of the country has changed. It's not so much the economy. It's not so much, policing. They'll blame everything. What is the one factor that's changed? And then, if it's not just enough in Canada, contrast it to a bunch of other Western countries that had seldom those issues and that they do today. And there's one common denominator. There's always this one thread. We spoke about Sweden last week. The increase in rapes, the increase in sexual assaults. It's a new phenomenon for them. What has changed in Sweden? It's not the policing that's changed. It's not the economy. So there you go. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Alana says I'm spreading misinformation.
All right. Well,
sure.
In Canada, I don't know if you heard about this, Elliot.
Mm-hmm.
A man who SA'd a 3-month-old baby and drowned it was given breast implants by the BC government in prison and is now serving time in the women's penitentiary where he assaulted a woman in the prison.
Death penalty.
Paid for by the BC government.
Death penalty.
Thank you, David Eby. Meanwhile, in Canada, a man went to prison for refusing to apologize to LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Canadian pastor Derek Reiner arrested for defying court-ordered apology over LGBTQ issues.
Okay, so right now we're going through what, like some lunatic, because what I'm trying to do here is like segments. Like, what segment are we in right now?
We're in the LGBTQ segment.
Okay. No,
we talked about the state of Canada.
Okay.
Like economically and all that stuff.
Now we're in the LGBT. Okay. Good, because maybe you mentioned it or you didn't. I don't know. I can't remember. But if you did, I apologize. You did? Okay. Well, I'm retarded. This is my moment to claim it.
So he essentially refused to apologize for his own personal beliefs, right? Just like being part of the LGBTQ community is a personal belief. The same way being against them can also be a political belief. Being against them in a way that like, I disagree with your approach.
Yeah.
I disagree with how you conduct yourselves in society. Sure. I disagree with drag shows and well, specifically drag shows being presented to children. And I have some horrifying images of what I mean specifically, because that's what people like us or pastors or that's what these people are protesting against. It's the perversion, it's the perverting of children. Through this LGBTQ drape of tolerance.
Well, yeah, you have to understand something. I'm going to say it, okay? I have no problem with LGBTQ, okay? That's for you, Alana, by the way. Got no problem for them or with them or against them at all. I'm a huge live and let live kind of guy. I'm cool with it. Do whatever you must in the privacy of your own home. Love who you want to love. Hate who you want to hate. For real. I mean that. Do as you please. If you want to cut some body parts off, go right ahead. It's your prerogative. It's your life. It's your body.
Some of your own body parts.
My issue and where I draw the line is on kids, period. I mean, that's it. How about just, you don't touch the kids. You don't influence the kids. You don't confuse the kids. Teaching gender ideologies to fucking school children is despicable, period. They're individual. Like, I mean, we always, like, sex ed, for example, right? Sex ed used to be debated, like, at what age should it be introduced? And we realize, okay, it should be towards high school when, people are a little bit more mature and also when they're more likely to engage in certain activities. Fair enough. We don't teach elementary school kids sex ed. And you know what? It's debated whether that would help or not. Probably not. They're too young and they're fucking confused. They're impressionable. Sorry. But we're at a point right now where there's some schools, especially more in the US, can be a little fucked up with that, right? They start pushing that kind of stuff. The pronouns and the, how do you really feel? You're allowed to be more than just a boy, or you can be more than just a girl, to elementary school age fucking kids. To me, that is like right to jail, right to fucking jail. Skip go, do not collect $200. You go to fucking jail. We entrust these individuals, by the way. This is what's fucked up, right? If you were a coach or if you were a person of authority and you were entrusted with the care of kids and you made, some sexually subjective comments at them, you would be charged because you're entrusted with the care of a minor. But yet, as long as it's done under the guise of gender fluidity, identity, and acceptance and diversity and whatnot, we tolerate it. No. Right to jail, man. That's my take. And that's for you, Alana. Right to jail, you as well.
I agree. And I've seen some horrible pictures. Like, I've seen some horrible videos of this stuff, like kids at drag shows essentially tipping a naked man dancing. Like a man wearing an underwear, like a grown man, and a child, like a little girl, like putting like money in his underwear.
The worst is the fucking parents who bring their kids to the fucking pride parades, man. That is fucked up.
Dude, we had one in Quebec City a few years ago that was absolutely disgusting. A man essentially exposed himself and there were children in the crowd.
Yeah.
As like an art presentation. And like the drag people and the LGBTQ members at that event were essentially justifying it, saying, oh, well, it's up to the parents whether they want to bring it. It's just an artistic presentation. It's utterly disgusting.
Well, I mean,
and it's illegal as far as I'm concerned.
Some adults should have gone up and been like, okay, we're not going to tolerate that. But you know what? To an extent, again, believing in freedom and whatnot, I'm not going to be mad at the performer, okay? Because the performer is not responsible for the kids. The parents, however, are responsible for those kids. And having parents that allow such a thing is, I think, child endangerment or perversion. Like that, again, is right to jail.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just happening in Canada. It also happened in Ireland, where a pastor is going to prison for essentially protesting against LGBTQ. why is it illegal to protest something that you disagree with?
Because it goes against people's feelings.
Right now, people's feelings are more important than your civil liberties. Like, this is where the left has gone completely off the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
That your feelings, your pathetic little precious feelings, are more important than the civil liberties of like law-abiding citizens. Utterly disgusting. I have no sympathy for it. I have no respect for it, and I don't really.
But
like,
it goes further than that.
I don't want to put up with it.
What they do is they're going to claim that it's for protection. Because if it was just for the feelings, honestly, we say feelings because we realize we can cut through the bullshit and realize it's all about the feelings. But it's actually the way it's branded for them is for protection of people. It's always going to be done under the guise of being good for society. During the Rona era, you know, you being deprived of some of your constitutional right was done for your well-being, of course. Well, hate speech laws are done for the protection of society, of course. It's to ensure that, you know, we keep environments safe for everyone. It's always about safety. And this is where it's the, to me, is the irony, or maybe it's oxymoronic, is that safety is an illusion. Life is inherently dangerous, and it ought to be. We've lost our pioneering, our adventurous side for being, and we've replaced it with sterility, with docility. We've turned, you know, lions into little declawed kitty. That's what society has turned into now. So to protect people and their feelings, we must regulate and legislate. And that's my fucking problem with that.
I just think that these people are unhinged. I don't think that their values are objectively correct, because like, and you know, some people will find what I'm saying extremely offensive. But when people like the pastor protest this, when people like you and me are just fundamentally disagreeing with their approach to life, let's just take a look at what it is we're actually protesting, okay? I want to put a couple of videos on screen. I'm going to put it all in a montage.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at this. So I'm going to play this video from the start. We're going to have to censor this for YouTube for sure. But, like, do you think that's appropriate?
Well, that's a no for me.
That's you go to prison for me. Like, I'm not going to be tolerant. Like, I'm not someone who can, like, I don't want my kids around this. I don't want this in my schools. I don't want this in our culture. I think it's degrading culture to put kids in this environment.
People on TikTok are saying we don't get to see the video. Guys, we're gonna
post the video.
You're gonna have to watch the actual episode when it airs Thursday. I'm not that high tech. Sorry, guys.
So those are just a couple of videos of things that we're fundamentally against, you know. And for a pastor to go to prison for just protesting against this, saying, hey, this isn't for me. I don't think what you're doing is right, and I think you're doing something wrong. And to go to prison for refusing to apologize for it, yo, it's a failure of it's a failure of our justice system, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, Elliot? No, I'm done. That was the last one. I had a couple more, but I could pull them up.
What do I think? You know my feelings regarding all of that.
Sorry.
Ultimately, I believe in free expression fully, and I believe people should have the right to say anything they want. I also believe that kids should be safeguarded and protected from perversion. I don't care if you want to dress in drag. I don't care if you want to be gay, lesbian, trans, whatever you want. I legitimately, I made a statement already. I'll make it again. I don't mind it. I don't think less of you.
I don't either. Just stay away from the kids. Like, it's an 18+ event. It's an 18+ concept. It's 18+ material. It's 18+ shows.
There you go.
What are children doing here?
That's exactly it. Right, guys? It's 18+. So,
you know, this also happened in Quebec. Like, if you want me to quickly play this video, this happened in Quebec City. So it hits pretty close to home, this one. Did you see that girl, like, looking to her her parent, like, what the fuck am I watching?
I don't even know what the fuck I was watching.
Yeah, what you're watching is crazy people doing crazy things.
Well, bring back mental asylums, baby.
Yes, sir.
Let's bring them
Yes, sir.
back. You know what we should, however, not bring back? We should do the opposite. We should send them back. Reimmigration, my man. Reimmigration. It's making not a comeback. It's making a debut in the mainstream. It's something that used to be in the underworld, honestly. You'd go to 4chan or whatever, and people used to talk about reimmigration. It's not just about stopping mass migration. It's about, let's send them back where they came from. Well, now Trump, thanks to Trump, people are going to hate that on TikTok Live. Thanks to Trump, well, you know what? It's come into the mainstream. He's talking more and more about sending people who commit crimes in the U.S. back to their country instead of serving sentences in the U.S. at the expense of taxpayers. Send them back where they came from. Okay? So, let's talk about Denmark, because we spoke about Denmark before, the 321 Palestinians, right? In a recently released poll in Denmark, 7 out of 10 Danes support the so-called far-right idea of re-immigration. They support deportation for immigrants who have committed any crime, which is more than 2/3 of Muslim immigrants, by the way. More than 2/3 of Muslim immigrants have committed a crime. Shit. A majority of Danes also support re-immigration for immigrants on welfare. The media brand support for immigration, the media brands support for re-immigration as a far-right ideology, but it is literally the most normal view amongst the population. That just goes to show, by the way, the information warfare. A small group of elitist individuals in the media can try to shape the entire public narrative. When you realize that 66% of your population agrees with an idea, and yet they're being branded far-right. To me, that's wild. This prompted, by the way, this poll prompted Elon to respond with saying re-immigration is the normal position. So then, let's further look into it a little bit. We spoke about before the lifetime or the cost of an immigrant in a country like the Netherlands. Well, there's a subsection of that study, and that's a study that came out in 2024 by the IZA Institute in the Netherlands. And they looked at the lifetime contribution of specific immigrants to society, how much they contribute over the lifetime to the country itself. So a North American immigrant that goes to another country, such as call it a European country, will contribute in their lifetime $573,000 to the country. That's not a bad fucking immigrant to have. That benefits your country. We love it. Thank you, North Americans. A Scandinavian immigrant. So that's Denmark, Sweden, or Norway. Finland and Iceland are not Scandinavian, contrary to popular belief. Well, a Scandinavian immigrant will contribute over their lifetime $557,000. Another $500,000 plus. Amazing. Immigrants from Oceania, right? So Australia, New Zealand, and the surrounding islands, $476,000. A Japanese, $525,000. Someone from the UK, a Brit, or a Scotsman, or Welsh, I guess, or Northern Irish, $481,000. All those are net positives for society. We love those. We welcome those. We want those. Well, now let's look at the ones who cost society, because yes, certain immigrants cost society and cost them dearly, may I add. Let's start with the least costly one, someone from the Middle East, all Middle East I'm talking about. It's a net loss for these immigrants at a cost of $624,000 over their lifetime. Caribbeans, sorry, my French is coming out. Caribbeans, $675,000. Sub-Saharan, that's worse. Central and North Africa. So that's most like Maghreb. That's going to be, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. Former French colonies. $700,000 a year over a lifetime of cost. Sub-Saharan Africans, $730,000. You know what's wild is that it's all more money than, it's not only a loss to society, but it's more than the net gain given on the other side. But I digress.
Yep.
And it leads us to the worst offenders, the worst, the costliest immigrants to a society in the Netherlands. Guess which one? You have one try. You have to go.
Somali.
Da-da-da-da-da! Boom, boom, boom. Somalians cost $1.1 million over their lifetime.
Well, that brings us into the next segment that I had prepared, which was Donald Trump's comments on Somalis.
But I just want to end on this.
Oh yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to end on this, and yes, we'll go into it.
Go ahead.
Don't be afraid to be called far right. These days, far right just means being normal. There you go. That was my segment.
Had to put that in. I love it.
Well, it's true.
No,
when
it's
when
true.
the
It's totally
majority of the population believes what's
Yeah.
called a far right
No.
viewpoint, that's the normal viewpoint.
Yeah.
That's my take.
No, I appreciate the commentary.
Yes.
I
Through my pen.
So Donald Trump recently came out talking about Ilhan Omar. Did you catch this?
Oh, for sure I did.
Of course you did. I just want to find the video. I know I saved it somewhere.
Well, I mean, it's more than just Ilhan Omar. Okay, there's Tim Walz as well, the retarded governor of of the state. I love it. After Trump called him retarded, people have been driving apparently in front of his residence, right?
Okay.
Tim Walz's residence, yelling "retard" as they drive past. So much he came out in the news saying, "Ever since the president's comments, people have been harassing me. They've been driving in front of my dwelling, calling me a retard." And people have just started doing even more.
Oh my god.
Like, I've seen a video of someone driving in front of the residence, just lowering his window saying "retard." It's fucking hilarious. God, I love it. That's the one thing I love about the right. You know what? The right knows how to meme. They know how to fucking like shit posts. The left can't meme. The left really can't meme. Sorry guys, Alana, if you're still watching, you can't meme for shit. All right.
Let's take a look at what Donald Trump had to say.
All right.
Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing.
The thing though is this. I agree with the president for the simple point that anyone who marries their brother is garbage in my books.
Well, beyond that, it's just, Ilhan Omar has said a lot of really inflammatory things in politics. And I don't think she's a responsible politician. I don't think she's a good politician. There's all this fraud coming out, which I'm going to cover all of. I just wanted to give a little overview. Here's what Trump had to say, right? He said Somalia is fundamentally not a great place to live by any metric.
So controversial.
Okay, that's why they want to leave. And when they leave, they don't bring any value with them.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Like you said, you want immigrants that add value to the economy, that make the country better, not worse. And this isn't just like, oh, that's so mean, that's so rude, that's so racist. What if someone came to your house and just was a complete mooch off your system, off your housing system? And that's what essentially is happening with reckless, unfettered immigration from destitute places where people don't want to work. They just want to scam the system. And I have proof of my claims. I'm not just talking out of
But
nothing.
here's an interesting thing, right? Because a lot of people are going to push back, probably Hub, because Hub's a big loser, by the way. I just have to say it. Hub, you're a loser. All right. So, but they're going to say, you know what? We're a country of immigrants. We're all immigrants. Well, it's kind of true. The U.S. used to have unfeathered immigration. It used to. Not like today's version of retarded immigration. Like we're talking, the U.S. used to have fully unfeathered immigration. Just present yourself to Ellis Island, get processed, and off you were. Here's the thing, though. You got nothing for it. You got nothing. There was no social safety net. There was no systems. There was nothing. You were on your fucking own. So it promoted a very specific kind of immigrants. Actually, there were less immigrants. There were more settlers. There were more builders. There were adventurers. There were people who wanted to come and be free to build the life. Because that was the thing. They were escaping European, a lot of it was authoritarianism. There was a lot of tyranny, kings and queens and whatnot, religious persecution as well. Some people are going to say, yeah, but isn't that so different from today, right? With the people being religiously persecuted. No, they come here and we have to pay for them. That's the difference. They got here and they didn't pay. They had to do it all themselves. Compared to today, however, and this is how you fix the system. Drop all the benefits, all the entitlements overnight. I'd be okay. Open the floodgates. You get nothing. And watch how all of a sudden immigration won't be an issue anymore.
Just leave. And the worst part of it is that they're not appreciative of the country that they moved to.
Yeah.
I have a team. I have some members overseas that help me out. And when I tell them that, one day we're all going to go to the United States and build our business that we're building, and I'm going to bring my team to the United States.
Yeah.
They talk to me with such gratitude. Like, that is my dream, to go to the United States and build my life. That is a very different mentality than what Ilhan Omar is about to say right now. Check this out.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Well, now investigators.
So that's what she has to say about the country that basically welcomed her. And if you talk about women's rights in Somalia, it's not a very pleasant sight. I have a clip of essentially a man sitting at a bench and throwing acid on a bunch of hijab-clad women. And the women are like screaming in agony, and there's a woman wearing a hijab whipping them.
Yeah.
And it's just a group of women.
Yeah, but you know what's fucked up? Look, maybe this is going to be controversial, but I don't care. And not about what you're saying, but about them doing that in their country. I don't care, because I'm not going to be arrogant enough, and this might surprise Hub, again, who's a huge loser. But you know what? I'm not going to say that my culture is better than theirs. I'm going to say my culture is my culture. They're allowed to do what they want in their country, man. Yeah. They're allowed. If this is normal day-to-day activity for them and it's accepted, do it. I'm not going to come and free you of your degeneracy. Do as you please. I just don't want it here. Yeah. I just don't want that shit like here. And is that controversial?
No, it's not. That's the issue with people like Ilhan Omar, is that she wouldn't have the same rights and privileges in her own country. A country not led by white men.
That's for sure.
And then she comes to the United States and starts accusing white men, the people who supposedly run the country, and she starts accusing them when she has the right to go on TV and spew this rhetoric, this hateful, divisive rhetoric, nonetheless.
But you know what? Like, and if I was Trump and I could actually prove that she married her brother, and I think there is some proof out there surfacing, then you know what? Denaturalize, baby. Denaturalize. Go back to Somalia. Side note, Alana and Hub, I'm more than happy to answer any question when the show's done. So stick around. I'll answer it for you guys. Let's say if you actually stick around, though.
And beyond that, have you heard about the Somali fraud being committed?
Yes.
That was committed
insane.
in Minnesota.
Yeah, that's wild.
Where, apparently up to 8 billion with a B, US dollars.
8,000 million My
Yeah.
favorite way to say it.
was essentially stolen from the government. Well, I mean, taken from the government as a subsidy to supposedly feed thousands of children.
It was misappropriated. That's what it was. It's the money was effectively embezzled,
Yeah.
and instead it was used to fund terrorist organizations back in Somalia. But I don't know the name of the organization. So do you have it?
I think it was something like the Children's Future or something like.
Children's Future.
It was like the Future or something. I don't have the name offhand. But, you know, let's take a look at, you know, how Somalia is. You know, you want to come, like Ilhan Omar wants to come to the United States and insult the Americans, the American way of life, the American traditions. She's coming here to spit on that. But in her own country, militants stoned a 13-year-old rape victim to death.
But again, that's the thing. Like, I'll let you say it, but I'm not even going to take offense at that. I won't, because I'm not going to judge someone else's culture. I think it's barbaric, but you know what? Do it. Well, stone your kids to death.
Then, you know what? They bring it to the United States because
that's the problem.
Kalinle Ibrahim abducted a 12-year-old in Minnesota and SA'd her. And the St. Paul Islamic Center wrote a letter of community support saying that he has not assimilated into non-Somali culture, thus implying that Somali culture is SAing young children.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think everyone knows it. I think it doesn't need to be implied. My issue is that it doesn't matter whether you've integrated or not. You're within the bounds of our civilization, our culture, our laws. You commit a crime. You're not supposed to be given clemency due to your backing. Because again, flip the script. I go to Somalia and I don't stone some 13-year-old girl to death for some reason. I bet you the villagers would not take kindly to me. Okay. No, but for real.
Well, they wouldn't take kindly to the fact that you're Christian baseline. Like.
I also would never go to Somalia. Let's start with that. It's a horrible country.
Twice convicted arpist. Okay, you could imagine what I'm trying to say here. Abdimahat Bile Mohammed, who served no jail time for either SA, including on a minor victim, was just arrested for kidnapping a woman, holding her hostage for days, and SAing her. Okay? SA'd to death on church sidewalk. Nashville freed her Somali predator, Mohammed, 16 times before he struck again. Another headline. 7 Somali immigrants jailed for gang SAing 13-year-old girl in a Bristol's in the UK, hotel room. Okay? And these people justified it. You know, the St. Paul Islamic Center actually wrote a letter to say, hey, it's okay that he SA'd a young child. You know, he just hasn't integrated into the culture. What a stupid thing to say objectively. What a disgusting thing. What a disgusting mentality to actually have a religious group put this out in their message. I don't know another group of people who would put out like a religious group who would say something like this to justify the essay of an under 18 child, essay in general.
Yeah, I think it just goes in general, yes.
And so...
Also, I do have to say, okay, because they like to say that us white men are fucking all MAGA and whatnot. Hey, Simmer, how about you show that you're not a white man?
Hello, my name is Simar.
There you go. Oh, yeah, all white man, guys. We got an Indian. Maybe you guys are just the losers. Anyways, sorry. All right.
Beyond this, in Croatia, a Muslim migrant screamed Allahu Akbar while stabbing a Catholic nun in Croatia.
Yeah, see, that's fucked up. That's where I draw the line. Reimmigration, guys. If you cannot live by our rules, you get the fuck out.
The culture just doesn't integrate, okay? In the past 20 years, 100,000 white girls were SA'd in the UK. 80% were by Muslim Afghani men, and 30% are named Mohammed.
Well, in their defense, though, Mohammed now is like the most common name in Europe.
Well, I mean...
No, but
the issue is that it's named after a religious person.
I know.
Imagine if like 30% of essays were by someone named Jesus.
Jesus, my hombre, Jesus. Yeah, I know.
It's wild.
It would
It's
be.
completely wild.
I know, isn't that yeah? But again, it comes from the religion of peace that does not see women as an equal. So, to them, it's not assault. It's like, do you feel bad when you step on an ant by accident? You don't, because like, I mean, for better or for worse, you see yourself as a more valuable sentient being than the ant is, right? Well, not exactly a parallel, but that's how a lot of them view women. And which is fucked up because, let me state for the losers out here, I think women are equal to men and should be. We're different in our hardwiring and our biology, but we're equal in terms of value to society.
And it's not just Somalia. This happens in a lot of rural, like Middle Eastern countries, India, where whether it's Hindu extremists or Muslim extremists, they just take their culture way too. I don't know how to say this. Like, they just take it way to an extreme. It's just it's extremist. I guess that's the best way to say it.
It's extremism.
Yeah, because there was a girl named Simran from Sindh in Pakistan. Okay, Simran was a Hindu girl. Okay,
yep,
whose family and to-be husband were reportedly killed on her wedding day during a forced abduction and conversion attempt. According to reports shared by an activist, Simran was rescued after the harrowing incident. The accounts state that armed men stormed her home on her wedding day, shot and offed her parents and fiance, dragged her away, and forced her to eat beef. And as a side note, Hindus are like, the cow is sacred in India, so they don't eat beef. So essentially, they forced her to eat beef. Let me just make sure.
It'd be like feeding bacon to a Jew or a Muslim.
Exactly. As an act of religious and cultural violation, this specific account has been used to highlight the issue of forced conversions and violence against minority Hindu girls in the Sindh province of Pakistan, a problem that Human Rights Organization report involves approximately 1,000 girls annually. And we're not even talking about the Christians being slaughtered by radical Islamists in Nigeria, in Sudan, and it's not like, before I talk about all this, I just want to say that.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap it up, dude. We're at an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah, I'm
okay,
just about done.
Okay, I thought I thought you were gonna bring up another segment after.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm about to wrap it up.
Right,
I just want to say, I have a lot of Muslim friends, okay, that I've known for many, many years. I have done business with Muslims, people that I trust, people that I consider family to an extent. They're close friends. They've treated me with dignity. They've treated me with love and respect. I love these people. I respect their faith. I respect Ramadan. I think it's one of the most beautiful religious ceremonies out there. Just the fact that you learn humility by, fasting for 40 days, it teaches you the value of food. It teaches you the value that God gave you all these gifts. I think there's a lot of beautiful things about Muslims, and I know fantastic Muslims. However, radical rural Muslims do not belong in Western civilization, period. And I'm gonna kind of end it there, because there's even an Imam of Peace. He actually was in Canada recently. Do you know him? Mohammed Tawhidi?
I've seen his videos. Yeah.
I really respect this man, because him, despite being a Muslim priest, an Imam, he constantly warns society against radical Islam, the Muslim Brotherhood, an Islamist undercover, an Islamist like special interest group, essentially. And
well, it's now been pretty much, it's been designated as a terrorist organization, so you can call them that.
Yeah,
terrorists.
And so I just want to say that we're not trying to, you and me, Elliot, we love to film these videos. We work hard on our research segments. We bring some really sharp criticisms and sharp points to the table. But the intention is not to belittle people, put people down. It's to inform people.
Except for Alana and Hub, because they're fucking losers. Sorry, but yes.
It's to elevate the consciousness
Except for Rosie
of
O'Donnell. Sorry. But yes, it is to elevate. Sorry,
It's to elevate the consciousness. It's to elevate the general knowledge that people have about society, because I think people are just so focused on like day-to-day living and work that you hear something like, oh, we don't want Muslim extremists, and they automatically resort to, hey, that's racist, you can't say that. Well, there are nuances to everything we're discussing, and I think we should.
Oh, you don't have to explain yourself
Yeah.
anymore. I'll tell you why. Okay, like it's they've used it. They overused the word racist so much that it's legitimately lost all of its bite. They've called everyone racist. They call everyone far right. They call everything that's not exactly their fucking ideology as like the worst of the worst. It's actually lost all of its potency. Like someone calls you a racist, like, okay, cool. Like, sure, like don't even fight back. Like, okay, you're far right. Okay. Anyways, they're just screaming at the sky. Nobody fucking cares about them because they're losers. Anyways, guys, that was the Right Call podcast, episode 101. We have a Patreon. We don't want your money, Alana. You probably don't have any anyways.
You're going hard. I love it.
But oh, dude, I can be really bad. I can be incredibly cocky, arrogant, and like I can get under people's skin. I don't on the podcast. I try to honestly be as objective and neutral as I can be. But like, if you really want to piss me off, I'll fuck with you, and I do it with the best of them. I got that from my hockey days. Hockeys were good at chirping. We're fucking hockey players, not hockeys. But yeah. We have a Patreon, guys. It's like $8 a month or $29.99 a month. Or if you're a Mossad, CIA, and you want to honeypot us. You know, I've been getting paid, actually. Someone paid me. I got to say this because it's hilarious. Said at the end, too. This guy reached out to me a few weeks ago. He's like, how much would you charge for a story on your profile? And I was like, I don't know. What is it? And he sends me like this Bitcoin mining shit. Okay. And I'm like, this is such a scam. Like, I know it's a fucking scam. It has to be a scam. It's promising like
If you want to get paid, please insert your credit card number and social insurance number. And
yeah. It's more like, invest X amount and get X amount of money back. Like probably a Ponzi scheme, to be quite honest with you. Anyways. The crazy story behind that, though, that I'm trying to get at is that I ended up taking the money and I posted the story because, pay me enough shekels and I have some morals, but I mean, here's what I made. And I made a mistake with that. Okay. This is what I'm trying to get at. Paid me 500 US. Okay. For this. And, I assumed that nobody would see it because I assume most people would be rational and realize, and I fucking labeled it as ad. I wrote ad on it. Okay. I assumed they would have understood that. It was, out of all the stories I've posted, the one that had the most engagement, and over 180 people clicked the link to go to the website. I got so many DMs, people saying, is this legit? Do you use it? Have you been using it? And I told everyone who reached out to me, look, this is a paid ad. I am not affiliated with them. Do so completely at your own risk. It could be legit. I don't fucking know. What happened to me, though, in my head is it made me realize how desperate economically people are. Because to me, I would never pursue such a thing. But promise people a way to make money, and they're so tight and so strapped for cash right now that people are willing to like go after what to me jumps at my eyes as some Ponzi scheme.
Do you receive scam job offers
all the time?
Via text?
Oh, dude, I get
email?
like one a day of those shit.
No one's gonna come and give you money. Just wake up to the reality. You got to earn your own bread. You got to find a way to earn it. Whether you got to start driving an Uber. Doesn't matter. You got to find your hustle.
Absolutely. It took an Indian to say drive an Uber. I got to tease everyone equally. So you don't call me a racist. Anyways, with that being said, thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next week.
Until next time.
Yes.